Our guest tonight's a blast from the past, but he's got much to do with the present and the future of BYU football. He ran the ball for the Cougars in 1996 and 1997. After arriving as a junior college All-American, he and his wife, Salode, who ran track at BYU, have twin boys in the program. It's our pleasure to welcome Brian McKenzie to the Wise Guys. Brian, thanks for joining us tonight. How's everybody?
Everybody's good.
Marcus is a freshman on the team. He's a defensive back, but he has become must-see TV as a gunner on special teams. Dominic will be a freshman when he returns home from his church mission. So let's start with Elder McKenzie. How's he doing, and what's his timetable for being at BYU?
Dominic is doing really good. He's loving his mission out in Atlanta, Georgia. We talk to him every Monday. We do a video chat. His timetable, he will be home January 3rd.
So he'll be ready. He'll be involved in spring ball, and that's probably enough time that he could get out there and contribute next fall. Then, right? He played. Well, they both played on both sides of the ball at some point, but the plans for him are to play on the offensive side. He's a 6-foot blazing speedster, just like his brother, just like his mom, right?
Yeah.
And he had 1,700 receiving yards his senior year in high school. What's your expectations for him early? Like, do you expect him to contribute next year? And what's his long term? Is it going to settle in at a wide receiver spot and be a big time player?
Dom's attitude, he'll play wherever the coaches want him to play. Obviously, he likes to play wide receiver. All about how his body feels when he gets back. He's so anxious to get back and get in shape. He's talking more about, his expectations on what he likes to do on the field. Because Dom is more of a type of person. He likes to study. He likes to study his opponents. He likes to study what he's doing. He's a perfectionist in what he likes to do. So with Dom, it's all about getting opportunity, going out, getting in shape, running his routes, catching 100 balls. He's talking about catching so many balls when he gets back. So the timetable will be probably much how Dom feels when he gets back.
Marcus went on his mission to Arkansas. He's found a freshman niche on special teams, made some phenomenal plays. I know he wants to be in that secondary moving forward on the defensive side. But what's ahead for Marcus?
Marcus, his attitude is he's just happy. He has an opportunity to have a D1 scholarship, and he's just a humble kid. He'll do whatever coach asks him to do, the special teams, whatever part he can play. But he's the same like his brother. He has that eagerness to go out there and do the best that he can, whatever he's doing.
Well, he was really he drew so much attention that after a couple of games, teams started to decide they better double team the gunner. And he started drawing double teams on the field. I hope that he took that as respect. How did he take that he started to get double teamed?
I told him it was respect. That's a lot of respect for you. You have SEC teams double teaming you everywhere you go. They're double teaming. You've made a name for yourself and a mark on the field that you're a threat to be reckoned with, and you need to be proud of yourself and be glad that these guys are really doing a scout on you, how to try to block you. But you find a way to get open and get down the field and make that tackle.
Former BYU running back Brian McKenzie's on the Wise Guys, live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, wiseguys.com. Now, Marcus set the Utah State records in the 60-meter and the 200-meter sprints. So if you put a $50 bill on the 50-yard line, who gets there first, Marcus or Dominic?
Ooh, that's a good one. It depends on what the day is, because they're like a tenth of a second off each other. And they push each other. They're like the best and worst of enemies. They compete against each other. They keep each other in line. They love one another. With them two together, it's like the best recipe for molding and shaping a really good athlete into what you want them to be, because you're going to push each other. You're going to call them out and tell the truth about each other. Like, you suck today, or you did really good today. Well, no, you couldn't cover me. Well, I shut you down. I like that attitude that they have against each other. So they always push at each other, do the best that you can, or whatever you're doing.
Part of me, as I think about it, wants to see them both play on the defensive side and have two corners with that kind of speed, and brothers playing opposite one another. How fun would that be? But But I am actually anxious to see when Dom gets back, when they go one-on-ones and they come up against each other in practice. That could be pretty fun too. What's your thought, Brian? Would you love to see them both on the same side of the ball, or are you happy that they play on opposite sides of the ball?
I like both sides of the ball, either or. Which one they feel comfortable doing, but having that type of speed on both on defense is crucial. But actually, Dom playing offense, the speed that he has to have somebody that can really get over the top like that is crucial too. So it's like a 50-50 toss-up. But whatever he's comfortable playing, I cheer for both of them wherever they want to play.
BYU benefited from Bronco Mendenhall's retirement at Virginia because both the McKenzie boys were committed to the Cavs. Are you surprised by how this has all played out?
I am surprised, but it was their decision on what they wanted to do. I support whatever they want to do and what they want to be. There was never any pressure from me or my wife saying they had to go to BYU or anything like that. I support anything they want to do. But the idea was they loved what Mendenhall was doing out in Virginia, and it was pretty much their idea of BYU outside of Utah.
Yeah.
And did BYU being in the Big 12 make a difference to them and make them think, hey, you know what, maybe that's not so bad. We stay in state because we're going to be playing in the Big 12. I know part of the draw was Bronco and his program, but also the fact that they were in the ACC. Did the Big 12 come in as a factor when they were considering what to do after Bronco retired?
Actually, the factor was that BYU was their second choice if they couldn't go to Virginia. So the way you look at it is like it all came to be what it should be, the way it should be playing. It was always about being at BYU, but it's like being with Bronco outside of BYU, is BYU outside of Utah. They ended up there, but it all came together, right? I mean, I was happy. My wife was happy that they chose BYU, but I didn't want to be the one telling them they had to choose BYU.
Well, the good news is Provo's a lot closer to St. George than Charlottesville. You know, how about your wife? What did she? How did she want this all to play out?
She's with me. Her attitude is like we support whatever you want to do, whatever you want to be, and so with them choosing BYU, it was like, man, being their mom is being close to their kid, her babies, and everything. To me, it's like, man, we get to go to the games, we get to be in, go see them, close to them. It all worked out. Got a lot of family up there.
Yeah.
It all worked out perfectly. I'm glad that he chose BYU.
Brian McKenzie's on the Wise Guys. He rushed for 1,954 yards and 23 touchdowns during a 96 and 97 season at BYU. So boys still trying to make their mark. Ryan made his mark.
Yeah.
And is in the record books. You played a major role in a 3-game swing that made program history in 1996, Brian. First on November 23rd, you rushed 23 times for 176 yards and a touchdown in BYU's 37-17 win against Utah. Do you remember that game and what that was like? You guys seemed to just dominate the line of scrimmage in that one.
Well, I do remember that game. Matter of fact, I remember the night before that game. My roommate was James Dye before the game, night before, and they were interviewing Ron McBride. And they were interviewing Ron McBride. So how are you going to stop those running backs that they have? They said, Ronnie Jenkins, but that other guy that they have, the other guy, I can't remember the other guy's name. And James Dye was giving me so much. Oh man, that's tough. He doesn't even know your name. What you going to do about that? I'm like, so that whole night I couldn't sleep. I actually got up that morning and ate breakfast and got on the special teams bus. It went over to the stadium. I got taped up with the special teams. I was out. It was so freezing cold that morning. I actually was running sprints on the field before they got in. I even saw Utah players come in. So we went in. When I went inside, I told Coach LaBelle, I was like, I need to have a spat. I need my shoes to be spatted. So, well, if you're going to spat, you're going to have a back spat. I said, okay. So I got spatted up. So right before it was going to go out, and LaBelle said, you know what? We're going to run the ball. I'm like, really? We're going to run the ball. So that first play, if you ever look at that first play, I think I take the ball maybe 40 yards down the field on the
Yes.
first play.
Yeah.
I was hot. I was ready to go. I don't think I was numb. I don't think I could feel anything that game. And my mentality was, man, we're gonna crush these guys today. Crush them today.
I bet McBride knew your name afterwards.
Yeah, he definitely knew it. I knew you and Ronnie after that. It's funny because people say, bulletin board material, does it really have an impact? What you're telling us from that story is it had an impact on you in your preparation, in your mindset, the way you came out and started that game, all because Ron McBride basically disrespected you before the game.
Yeah, pretty much.
I love it.
That's why coaches cringe when players say stuff.
Yeah.
To rile up the other team.
I remember talking to Norm after that game, and you'll remember, Brian, you guys just ran it down their throats. Like I think we only threw 12 balls in that game. I think Sark only threw 12 balls, right?
Right.
And somebody said to Norm in the post game, Norm Chow, I mean, that's so un-BYU like. And Norm said, no, I'll tell you what BYU like is. We're going to do whatever the defense can't stop, and we're going to keep doing it until they can stop us, and they could never stop us. So we just kept running it, and if we were still playing, I'd still be running it. That's what he said after the game. What's your thought on that?
That's right. You don't go away what works. If it works, if 3 plays work, you run those 3 plays all night long. Don't go away from it. I agree. If it wasn't me, it was Ronnie. Toting the rock and carrying against them. Our attitude was we were going to demolish them that game. And my mindset was, I don't think I felt anything until the next day of bruises or anything. I didn't feel anything. My body was numb. My mind was set. I was ready to go.
Well, the next game is December 7th in Las Vegas, the first ever WAC championship game. You rushed 17 times for 64 yards and a touchdown in a 28-25 overtime win against Wyoming in a crazy finish in that one, and ends with a fan storm in the field. What was that night like?
That was amazing. If you ever felt like chills running through your body, like lightning or something, goosebumps all over you, that's what that felt like. That game was so amazing. I think I scored the only touchdown that game, and I remember Norm Chow leaning over to me, "Hey, we're going to need you for the rest of the game, so let's keep it going," and talking to Ronnie and talking to other guys, like, man, we really got to put our best foot forward and win this game, man. But after winning that game, it felt so good. It felt really good to be the first WAC championship game we played.
Yeah,
that was a quite an ending to that game. And then we're going to take you to one of the most memorable games in BYU football history. The only New Year's Day bowl that BYU's ever played in, on January 1st, 1997, BYU goes to the Cotton Bowl against Kansas State. Kansas State comes in there, one of the top-ranked defenses in the country, and is a favorite. You just nine times, 9 carries for 17 yards. A low-scoring 19-15 Cougar victory. The win gives BYU its most wins in a single season in school history with 14. You guys go 14-1 and come out of there with a top 5 national ranking. What was that whole experience like?
So I think before that game started, I think it was College Game Day. It was Lee Corso and I think Kirk Herbstreit. They were talking about the bowl games and who's going to win those games. And they got to us, and Lee Corso, Kansas State's going to win that game. Kansas State's going to win that game. So once again, they put another fire underneath us. Like, man, they give us no respect from where we go. So we always got to get respect. So going out in that game, Sark tossing the ball and getting touchdowns, and James Dice, I think James Dice scored that game. But the key part of that game was Omar Morgan making an interception at the end of the game that sealed the game. Yeah.
That was a great. People always ask me about, BYU's corners historically, and I still go back and say, if we're going to talk about the pair, like both corners, you'd have a hard time having a better starting corner tandem than Tim McTire and Omar Morgan. And you've watched BYU since you played and up till now. Would you concur with that? Does anybody match up with those two guys you played with at corner?
It's really hard to say because those guys are really good. I mean, Omar can really cover, but Tim was so physical. I mean, physical and can cover. I mean, it's hard to say because it's hard to match somebody up to those guys. There was really good guys there.
Couple more questions. Go ahead, Brian.
And even having Chris Ellison in that safety was really good.
Yeah, that was a physical secondary because Chris would come smack you. Tim was an enforcer out there. Omar with that speed and his ability to cover and take a guy away in one-on-one coverage. It was really, really physical group in the back end, and that group of linebackers ran to the football like no other. That was a heck of a defense in '96.
Brad Martin, Shea Milbrook.
Yeah, Murbrook was a tackling machine.
And we had like the two best tight ends in the country that year. The Tula Media and Chad Lewis.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a dream team.
I don't know if there's a 3-game swing more meaningful than those three. One, you stick it to the Utes, and then you win the first ever WAC championship game, and then you go to a New Year's Day Bowl for the first time in school history. That's a trifecta that you were right in the middle of. But let me ask you this, and I want you to be honest, because on the Wise Guys, we expect honest answers from everybody. But that huddle you're in, you're looking at your quarterback, Steve Sarkisian, during that season. And can you believe he's the head coach of the University of Texas? As you look back in that huddle and see this guy looking back at you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Steve knew all his first. This is a crazy thing. We're in practice, and we're lining up to run a play, and Steve's looking around and everything. And he's like, hey, man, get him out of here. He's not going to stop. He knew all his personnel, who was there, who's supposed to be at all times. So for him to be a head coach right now, and actually at the Cotton Bowl, we had a Madden tournament, and he won it. He could play with any team and beat you with it.
He won Madden.
He was strategizing on Madden back in then. That was what prepared him for his success.
Well, think about it. He's got it's like the biggest job in all of college football.
Yeah.
Maybe Alabama's number 2. Maybe USC's close by. Or maybe Alabama might be 1. I don't know. But Texas is right there. And you got a BYU guy who's the head coach.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Sock's a stud. He's always been a stud.
Yeah, we're going to deal with him in about a week and a half.
Yeah, we're going to deal with him not this next game. We got one Texas team first from Texas Tech.
Your boy's going to try to take down Sark.
Yes.
How about that, speaking of full circle of life?
That's lovely.
Well, before they get a chance to go after Sark, and that's in a week and a half, coming up this weekend, it's Texas Tech. And you follow it pretty closely, and you talk to your boy that's on the team. What does this BYU team need to do to get the running game going? You're an expert in this area. You've been watching it. Their inability to run the football is concerning. What can they do in your mind to get this thing going against Texas Tech this Saturday and run the ball just a little bit?
I mean, I know these coaches, Rod and A-Rod and Kalani to get these guys going. But, I mean, I just call my own plays. And the thing about it is it's like get that push up front and, like, run downhill, run right at them. My favorite plays were inside zones, having that cutback lane, getting into the secondary right now and really, like, splitting that defender in half. I say running downhill right at them right now, even with a lead block.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see that too.
I love it just seems like not very many teams do that anymore. A few do. Michigan does that, and they're really, really good and effective at it. Like you guys used to get in the eye, with an offset fullback in front of you, put a big old dude up there, get you at that tailback, give you the ball running downhill with a lead blocker in front of you, double team at the line of scrimmage and isolate a linebacker and let that big dude just run over a backer and you cut off that block. What happened to that play in college football? Why do we not see more teams run it?
I don't know. We actually, when I played, if it wasn't another running back, we actually motion a tight end into the backfield.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you see, there's a few teams. There's a few teams that run. Michigan comes to mind because Jim Harbaugh runs a lot of that.
Alabama.
Yeah, Bama
Georgia.
runs some of that. Georgia runs some of it. Yeah, well, and you're right, Brian. Sometimes it's not traditional fullback like you guys ran, but they'll take that second tight end, put him on a wing, and motion him over and lead up with that big tight end. Yeah, I'd like to see some of that. I'm with you. I think some downhill, and I think this group of running backs they have, from a skill set perspective, their vision seems to be a little bit better when they're running at the line of scrimmage than running parallel like in an outside zone.
Because with the quickness you have with your running backs you have now, running right at them, right downhill, and having a cutback lane, get into the secondary right now, we have it. We have it, especially if linemen coming down, they double team to the backer. It's there. We have the tools to do it. I think we should do it. It'd be great to see them do it.
Well, call Aaron Roderick and say, this is Brian McKenzie.
Hey, Rod, this is Brian.
I got the answer to all your problems. I like exactly what you're saying. Are you ready for 5 questions, Brian? And we'll get you out of here.
Sure.
Okay, these ones you're just supposed to answer. The first thing that pops in your head. And I don't know if you've seen the show before, but you don't even have to think about these. So, your favorite sports movie?
I can't remember the name of it.
What's it about? What's it about?
So it's about a sports program, and what's the name of it?
Remember the Titans?
Program.
Oh, the program.
That's
yes.
right. Okay.
Yeah, we've had a couple others choose that one as well. The program. Yeah.
All right. Number 2.
Your favorite singer or band?
Oh, Michael Jackson.
Michael. You know what?
Jackson.
Of all these, like we've been doing this for a year and a half now, Brian, and nobody shows Michael Jackson, which is crazy to me. When you say that to me, I'm like, yeah, of course.
Makes sense.
I don't know why more people haven't chosen Michael Jackson, of course. Favorite breakfast cereal?
Oh, man, Fruit Loops.
Fruit Loops.
Now you're speaking my language.
Now we're talking.
Those flavors just blend into one glorious mouthful.
And just so you know, we don't tip anybody off, but if they choose a healthy cereal, we just make fun of them because that's not okay. You got to have fruity, you got to have Fruit Loops or Lucky Charms or something good. Your favorite BYU memory?
Beating Utah, of course.
That Utah game, 1996, 37-17.
Ran all over them.
I call that the cram it down your throat game because that's what
a good
BYU
name
did
for
in
it.
that one. Your favorite advice from your beautiful wife?
Listen. Just listen to me.
You know what?
I think we've all.
Just listen.
You know what?
Yeah, I think we've all had that.
We've had that
speech
advice
given to us.
My wife will say to me, I don't need you to give me solutions and answers. I just need you to sit there and listen to me. You get that too, Brian?
Yes.
That's good advice.
What's your prediction for Saturday night?
My prediction, I say we're 28-14.
Is that in the first quarter, or are you going for the full game on that one?
I say that's the first half.
So 25, but you got BYU by 2 touchdowns in this one.
By 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some major adjustments, and BYU are a bunch of vampires. Second half is going to be at night. You cannot beat BYU at night. That's all I know.
Hey, give you our best to Elder McKenzie. We'll see Marcus here later in the week, and hope to see you up here as well.
Yeah, you guys coming up for the game Saturday?
Yes, I am.
Great.
I'll be there.
Great.
Awesome.
Hopefully see you up here.
The great Brian McKenzie on the Wise
Brian.
Guys. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
You got it. Our pleasure. How about those 3 big games? What a run there of beating Utah, winning the WAC championship in Vegas. You win that game. You kind of got jilted by the BCS, so they send you to the Cotton Bowl. You really wanted to be in the Fiesta Bowl, I think it was. So they got a job there, and then they go over to the Cotton Bowl, and they beat Kansas State.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Like, when we talk about greatest teams in BYU history, that 96 team always comes up. And
it has to.
Because of that historic run. But, man, and Brian mentioned it, you think about the talent on that team. McKenzie and Ronnie Jenkins at running back. Those are 2 NFL caliber guys at running back. 2 NFL, like longtime NFL tight ends, and Tulamili and Chad Lewis, like Pro Bowlers.
Sarkisian at quarterback.
Very good offensive line. Steve Sarkisian at quarterback, one of the most efficient guys in the history of the game his senior season. And those 2 bookend corners. And then I forgot about, you mentioned the Shea Muirbrook and Brad Martin, 2 tackling machines at linebacker, a really, really good defense. That's a great team. They're right up there.
Yeah.
Like